Scorpio, this is your week ahead astrology forecast from Astrology Motivation by Born Without Boundaries. In this video, we review the major planetary aspects and transits and how they impact your natal sun for the week of June 20th through 26th, 2023. I've got all my notes here just ready for you guys. So we review this every single week, so please remember to subscribe to the channel, help us grow over here so that you get your astrology update every single week. Every single week the astrology does change. There's not something profound every single week, but of course that kind of depends on how all these other planets are aspected to your natal sun. And we review that every single week here. Now, you know that your natal sun is in the zodiac sign of Scorpio, but you don't know exactly where it's placed unless you have your natal chart. And because I'm talking to Scorpios, I'm pretty sure all y'all know where your natal chart is. You absolutely have it. Now, if you don't, it's okay. All you need to know is your birth date in order to enjoy these messages, because I will be translating or just correlating, estimating the dates of correlating birthdays to the degrees on the zodiac wheel. So you could sit back and relax, and all of you will be included and be able to understand this. We're going to start off with the big stuff, right, like we do every week, and then we're going to focus in on Scorpio specific information, and then I will break things down into the decans, which is a group of 10 degrees, and that'll help me understand exactly how your natal suns are being impacted, because not all Scorpios are the same. They're not all being impacted the same. So let's get into it. The big stuff, Scorpio. So the big stuff this week is the sun transits into Cancer. So Gemini season is wrapping up and Cancer season is beginning. Yes, this will, over the next 30 days, place the sun. Eventually, it will be trine to all of your natal suns, but right now it is not, and we will definitely talk about that. But the sun transits into Cancer on the 21st. It becomes part of a grand trine in the sky that holds for all of this week. It's the Sun trine Saturn trine South Node. So this is really all about finding ourselves and positioning ourselves in a place where we really feel comfortable, where we've built something out in the world based on our natural talents and our natural skills. And it's a very nice and helpful energy, or finally being recognized for your natural talents and skills, and maybe being able to turn that into something that is in the 3D and helping you be successful. So that's really nice energy. I like it. Another thing that's happening and definitely impacting us all is this Venus-Mars conjunction. Venus and Mars conjuncting is extraordinarily sexual energy. It's very virile energy. It's very romantic energy. It is sensual energy. This can impact how you feel about yourself, and definitely the kinds of relationships you're going to get into. Boy, it's going to be a hot and fun summer. Yeah, and there are definitely those of you who are in direct square to this, and we'll talk about what that means and who you guys are. Some of you already know. I know you know. I know. We also have very helpful Jupiter sextile to Saturn all of this week too. It began last week. That's a really nice energy. And considering the sun is also trine to Saturn, this is kind of nice energy when it comes to Saturn. It's like almost like things working out, feeling like things are functional, that kind of energy, or really getting to the truth of the situation so that you can make decisions from seeing what things really are. I like this energy. We also have a really beautiful energy, actually. So that conjunction between Mars and Venus and Mars, that conjunction is trine to Chiron. That means healing. That means catharsis. That means relationships healing, or you healing your sense of sexuality, being able to heal and maybe even finally emerge and blossom. This sense of getting out of unhealthy places, especially concerning your sensuality or your sexuality or your relationships. I love that energy because it is actually very, very healing. Kind of learning from your past mistakes, learning how to make the right decisions. Great energy. We have the sun sextile to the north node this whole week, which means future focused, sort of like the spotlight on the future. You could think about it like that. We also still have the sun square to Neptune, which is irritating. It's a little bit frustrating, but I don't think with all the other stuff going on, this could just mean that we're sort of waking up from our dream, which can be kind of frustrating, but at the same time, fortuitous. So all in all, I think a really beautiful week. Let's dig into Scorpio specific topics. So we look at the zodiac sign of Scorpio to see what planets are there. None. The south node is in Scorpio. It's not a planet. It's a location, a point in the sky. But it marks the south node, north node path in life. So where you enter the world versus where you're headed. So of course those north node things are going to be more challenging. South node is, what you've taken with you, what you've earned from your past life. So where is that? It's at 1 degree Scorpio. By the middle of July, I just can't believe how quickly July has happened upon us. By the middle of July, those nodes will be out of Scorpio and Taurus, and they will be in to Libra and Aries. So this is kind of big energy that it's now at 1 degree Scorpio, but the south node is at 1 degree Scorpio. Aside from that, there's nothing else actually in Scorpio. Of course, your natal suns are always in Scorpio. That's just a snapshot of where the sun was when you were born. But we do have your ruling dignitaries to consider because they kind of color or flavor your week. So we look at Mars, which is your traditional ruler. And Mars is in Leo. It will travel between 18 and 21 degrees Leo. And it is conjunct Venus all week, trine Chiron all week, and square to Uranus all week. What does the square to Uranus mean? Rebellion. It means change. It means just putting tremendous energy into doing things differently and wanting things different, and then finding a way to be okay and be at harmony for doing things differently. I actually love this energy because it's a very game changer kind of energy. If you don't want the same things, it's because it's natural right now. There's a sense of I want to try something different, a change to who you are, especially since this is happening in Leo. Could even be a change somehow intrinsically or integrally to your romantic relationships or your life purpose. We also have Pluto, of course, at 29 degrees Capricorn. It is in retrograde. It will be in retrograde for months. It is sextile to Neptune throughout, I think, 2035. It's there for a while. And it is square to the nodes, but it is not highly activated this week, which is nice because that creates so much excess. And we don't have to really worry about that right now. There is a point, and I will look back just to say, Pluto is opposite, hold on. Pluto is, I think, at one point, no, that's not this week. Okay, just wanted to be sure. Pluto opposite the moon, but we don't have to worry about that right now. Okay, we're good. Pluto is pretty chillax then, that means. So let's see how all of this impacts your natal suns. So if your natal sun is between 0 and 9 degrees Scorpio, you are a Scorpio 1. In terms of correlating birthdays, this is basically October Scorpios. So October 21st through the 31st, that would be you guys. Or October 22nd, I think, is really when it starts. But it depends on the year, because some years, October 21st, some people, the sun could have already been where you are, and it could have been the 21st. So that's what I mean. This is an estimate, but say between the 21st and 22nd and the 31st and 1st, that would be Scorpio 1s. So Scorpio 1s, you are conjunct the South Node, especially if you're at the Libra cusp. You are conjunct the South Node in opposition to the North Node, cuspers especially, and you are in opposition to Jupiter. What does that mean? Excitability, exaggeration, taking things too far. So this is something to take note of. I think your natal sun has been in this position for a while, and it will, because Jupiter doesn't move that quickly. So about, you know, it's going to be for the rest of this week, definitely. Just an FYI, you may be taking things in excess, not necessarily extremes, but excess, like too much of something, or expecting too much from yourself, since it actually is Jupiter in opposition to the sun. So just be wary of that. There is a great opportunity for growth and expansion, but it's almost like you won't leave yourself alone, which can get very exhausting. You also this week have a trine to the sun, which is clarity of life purpose, courage, a really firm sense of the self, which is why opposition to Jupiter, this could just look like I want to go places and I'm ready to go places now. I'm ready to show people who I am. So that could be very fortuitous this week as well. There's a long-term trine to Saturn, quincunx to Neptune, and square to Pluto. So for you guys, it's about maintenance. I want things to stay the same. I like how the rules and regulations are going. I want to be official instead of the changes are frustrating. There is a relentlessness about your energy right now because of that square to Pluto. And that quincunx to Neptune is going to make you challenge your dreams, challenge your fantasies, or at least be frustrated by them in some way. But that could serve as inspiration too. All in all, this is a really wonderful time for your career or your external worldly pursuits. Scorpio 2. So Scorpio 2, if your natal suns are between 10 and 19 degrees Scorpio, you are a Scorpio 2. This would correlate between I did write something down for you guys. Okay, this would correlate between November 1st and November 10th. In and around there, those would be Scorpio birthdays. But I did point this out. I wanted to point this out to you guys. Anywhere between the 31st and the 2nd, this is where you're going to be most affected by that opposition to Jupiter. Because it's sitting right there, it's sitting right in opposition to your natal sun. It's in the tightest opposition. So even you guys in the 1st up to the 2nd, even though you're not in the 1st decan, you're in the 2nd, but you're in the beginning of the 2nd decan. So you're already going to feel Jupiter. It's already going to start feeling. So you'll feel almost a sense of wanting to take on too much, like putting a lot of pressure on yourself. You could feel it as pressure. You could also feel like I just can't grow fast enough. I can't get big enough. I can't get enough. So just be wary of it, because it can push you forward, certainly, but there's some stress involved. This week, all of you are going to be square to the Venus-Mars conjunction. What does that mean? So that is tension and challenges with regards to openly expressing your sensuality. Now, I don't know what they are. That depends. It depends on which house all of this is happening in your natal chart, and there's no way I can know that. But check which house Leo is in. Check what house Scorpio is in, definitely. And see where there's most contention here, because there's definitely great desire, but there's something challenging that desire, that sensuality, sexuality. And if you overcome it, this could actually help you to grow. But it will be a challenging week, especially probably with relationships, because Venus-Mars coming together is a very sexy, relationship-oriented time. And then we have you guys in opposition to Uranus, especially if your birthday's around the 10th or 11th, right? So toward the end of the 2nd decan, this opposition to Uranus is you guys. It's also going to be impacting those anywhere, I'd say, from the 9th to the 12th, because Uranus is at 21 degrees. So technically it's in the 3rd decan, but it's sitting right there next to the second decan and is still going to impact you guys born toward the end of the second decan. Opposition to Uranus is always feeling like you're the odd man out, always feeling like you're the oddball. Kind of never really feeling maybe that you fit in, or challenges because you want things to change, right? You don't want things to stay the same, and you're restless because of that. We also have a long term for all of you, quincunx to Chiron, which is frustration when it comes to dealing with pain or past trauma. Past trauma kind of rearing its head and making things a little bit difficult for you. That's over the next year or so still. But primarily this week, it is that opposition to Jupiter for those of you born between the 31st and the 2nd. And it is the square to Venus for all of you. That is really going to be kind of like, it's like you want too much too fast, and frustrated energy. So this could come out in a lot of sexual frustration, trying to rush things simply because you're horny. It could be as simple as that. Just an FYI. It doesn't have to be that simple, but it could be. And then we move on to Scorpio 3s. So Scorpio 3s, if your natal sun is between 20 and 29 degrees Scorpio, you are Scorpio 3s. And that correlates to birthdays between, say, the 11th and the 21st of November. So definitely Sagittarius cusps. Your natal suns are in a long-term sextile to Pluto, which is really wonderful energy. This is dynamic change and blossoming that is going to help you expand and grow. Especially, well, it's now back in Capricorn, so maybe whatever area of your life Capricorn rules, but ultimately expansion, growth, ready for the opportunity. Dynamic changes happen that will definitely help you out. Why don't you just get right to it? There's also a long-term trine to Neptune, which is extraordinary creativity. And this could actually impact and work really nicely with that sextile to Pluto, because Pluto and Neptune are also trine. So there's this beautiful understanding of I'm changing the way I perceive things, my spirituality, and I am accessing psychic and creative energy. Maybe that will change the game, not just for your life, but for other people. Because it is long term. It's not happening today. This week, your natal sun is quincunx to the current sun. So there is an energy of like frustration when it comes to life purpose, or being seen or not being seen, getting attention, just a sense of being frustrated. Maybe you don't feel like you're getting enough attention. That's only for this week. By the 24th, if you're born around the 11th or 12th, you will start to feel that square to the Venus-Mars conjunction. It's going to play out the same way it did for Scorpio 2s, and it's only you guys that are really going to feel it this week by the 26th. By, say, from the 24th to the 26th, you'll really start to feel it. Yeah, that's major sexual tension. I mean, it could be a good thing, right? But it's also very frustrating. Just an FYI, you let me know how this ends up playing out in your life, guys. Please remember to subscribe, and feel free to leave your comments below. And then come on over to Born Without Boundaries Tarot to enjoy your tarot card reading. I love you, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye, Scorpio.